Welcome to week 2, and here is my 2-minute pitch for A Joyful Mind Studio. Today, more than ever, we're seeking mental health supports, but traditional therapy often still feels very cold and clinical and disconnected from our daily well-being practices. If only well-being came with a roadmap or a sign pointing us in exactly which direction we need to head in order to be healed. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Well, hopefully at A Joyful Mind Studio, we are going to bridge that gap for people, offering integrated mental health and wellness services all under one roof. Life is hectic and it can be a blur of passing moments. We combine licensed therapy with classes like yoga, meditation, stress recovery, and nutritional workshops, creating a holistic environment for healing. Clients are able to build a personalized care path with us, adding therapy for deeper emotional work and classes to support daily resilience. Through building this path, we hope that we can clarify the picture. Unlike in traditional therapy clinics or wellness centers that operate in isolation, we provide a continuum of care, fostering community, reducing stigma, and empowering clients to maintain their well-being long after sessions have ended. We're launching in a hybrid format, part physical studio, and even a virtual space, serving individuals and hopefully workplaces as well through wellness programs. Our model is grounded in trauma-informed care, culturally competent care, and is designed to be personalized to the care that the individual needs. What makes us different is we're not here to treat just the diagnosis. We're here to support the whole person. This isn't just a studio, it's a shift in how we deliver care by treating people with a whole person, whole life approach. That is my 2-minute pitch, and I was probably really super quick because I talked fast. So I will work on slowing that down and adding a couple more informational pieces. So some things from this week when I looked at the service overview and breakdown. So really the service that we're providing is being that hybrid studio, that place that you can go to have therapy and to have yoga and to have those nutritional classes. Now, one of the things that was kind of hard to understand as I started to talk to potential consumers or even my peers about this is it's not that you go to therapy, then you go to yoga, then you go to your nutritional class, but it's that it's in one encompassing place. So I like to think of it kind of like going to a gym. Imagine that you could only go to a gym and just do arms. It's all they had, just arm work. And then you had to drive across town to the other place to do leg work, and then across town to another place to do cardio. So if you're having to go to all these different places, the reality is you're either just going to go to one or you're going to go to zero because it's too overwhelming to think, oh my gosh, I have to get here, I have to get there. That's why gyms work. Gyms work because I go to one place, I can do my whole entire workout and I can leave. So we want to offer something that's very similar in that capacity, except for instead of just being a gym where you're there to work out, we're really looking at tuning into our bodies, what we need, how we're going to function. So that's also what kind of holds us apart and makes us a little bit different from what our competition is. One of the things that we wanted to look at too is really removing that stigma of therapy. Again, a lot of times in life, if you're going to therapy, somebody's going to say, "What's wrong with you? Are you okay? What happened?" But the reality is we are faced with traumas every single day of our lives. We carry forward traumas that are generational. We carry forward traumas that are from our childhoods, and they interact with us on a daily basis as we're still interacting and taking in other traumas in our life. So what we want to do is kind of focus those pieces and say, let's take that stigma away and let's give it a safe place to land where there can be good conversations with like-minded people. The other piece is having that holistic approach because it does make it have a piece of acceptability to it. I'm not just going to therapy here, but it's also my yoga studio. It's also where I do my breath work. It's also where I get my coaching if I want to run a 5K. The variety of services is almost unlimited, which I think I kind of get into that space a little bit where it's just pulling down everything. And I really need to narrow in and say, no, this is exactly what we're going to provide. So our market, again, looking at businesses as a market in their totality of being hired by them and coming in and helping with that engagement and that burnout piece. And of course, individuals, adults, and I would love to have a family component where there's a lot of encompassing that work together of how our bodies and how our minds interact with our family members and in our relationships. It will require, again, having licensed therapists, having certified well-being classes and coaches there that really have that trauma-informed focus, which is something that, again, it automatically starts showing that reciprocity in the system of having therapists who are training our yoga workers and our breath workers and our nutritionists to really focus in that trauma. But it's also the flip side of them teaching us, how our body responds when we're in different places or to different things. There does need to be a physical space, having a quiet space, having a group workspace, having individual rooms for therapy to take place or individual rooms for groups to take place. My inspiration for this was really looking at the whys behind why do people go to therapy and why do people exercise? So a lot of times they're tied to our traumas, even exercise. I am an ultra runner, an ultra athlete. And so I ask a lot of my friends, why do you do this? It's absolutely crazy. We spend hours and hours and hours doing this activity. Why? Like, what are we really running from? Kind of becomes the question. And in asking them, a lot of them talk about depression and anxiety and feeling like a failure in their life and trying to hold on to something that really gives purpose. They also talk about, recovering from divorce, recovering from alcoholism, recovering from a loss. And this gives them a place and an outlet. And so if we take that outlet and we incorporate it instead of running from our feelings, but running with our feelings, having them aside us so that we can kind of be able to process and be able to see how our body works when we're reaching that homeostasis point for both. So that was really my inspiration. And then also looking at fragmented care. Our system of healthcare is so piecemealed. You have to do this before you can do this, and then this. And it really is one of those things that if we want to be healthier people, we've got to integrate pieces of our body and pieces of our mind together. One of the assumptions or some of the assumptions that I am making in this is that people understand and want holistic care, which has been a little bit of a struggle in explaining. We're very stuck in our ways sometimes. And so it becomes kind of difficult to explain that maybe we can get the same thing at the same place and have all these services. And then again, the assumption that people understand and want accessible support. We a lot of times say, no, this is my baggage. I'm going to carry it myself. I don't need anybody. But instead of working in isolation, really looking at working together as a team. Customer segments. Again, this kind of got a little crazy when I was answering the question because you do have individual pieces, but also that company piece. And then when you bring in payees, there's a lot of insurance pieces that can be incorporated and even insurance benefits that pay for things like gym memberships, that pay for yoga classes. So how does that integrate for the consumer when the payee might be a third party or something that they're getting through a third party? The outreach that I would use, again, working with our wellness partners, HR networking, a lot of social media. Again, I think that that's how most of us consume our lives and find things that are in our areas that might be different that we want to explore to enhance our lives. So definitely utilizing that resource. I'm really looking at individuals who are seeking that experience and connection while giving back to that side of the business seeing returns and seeing the data. So for the person who is coming and consuming the service, it's very much about the experience being positive and helpful. For the business side, it's very much about, are we seeing success with the individuals and what does success look like? How is it measured? And having those components to where we can say, yes, this is a successful outlet and we need to encourage it more in order to bring in more revenues. So one of the things when I really looked at, like, what's the value? What's the mission statement? Where are we? And kind of teasing that out a little bit is really wanting to help people to move from just being in that survival mode that we are constantly in, get through the day, get through the day, get through the day. Instead, being able to be in a thriving mode where we're like, yeah, bring on the day. And I really want to offer that as a space where, again, healing and growth connect to each other, and we can see that in the person and in the individual. So individual therapy, having that wellness in one place and a variety of resources to help And then from that business side, also looking at comprehensive wellness. And again, our approach being the whole person, the whole life. And that's really what we're looking at to help. So thank you for listening to me on week 2, and I hope to hear from all of you soon. Thanks.